Tonight's about intuition. And Kelly,
Yes.
how would you define intuition?
Okay, here's how I would define intuition because I'm glad you asked. Intuition is the ability to understand immediately without conscious reasoning, and it's sometimes explained as a gut feeling about maybe the rightness or the wrongness of a person or a place or a situation or an object, but it's the ability to understand immediately something that's going on
You,
without conscious thinking.
you put on your therapist head right there. I can see that
I
Virgo
did.
therapist head.
I
Wow.
did. I
Like, who
did.
is that? But I love that Virgo part of you. Yeah, and I say it's the voice of the soul. It's the voice of the soul. It's
Yes.
that knowingness. It's everybody has intuition. Everyone's born with a sixth sense. We don't. Everyone's born that way. It's an instinct that we have, really, in the womb, if you will,
Mhm.
telepathically connecting with our mothers. There's a connection there intuitively, and it's an instinctiveness, and it really is part of who we are. And I
Yeah.
think children are very, very intuitive until 7, 8, 9, when they start getting programmed by the adults and saying, "This is the way we want it to be," and we
Yes.
try to go what they want, and little do we know that they
Well, what happens is they want to please their parents.
and then people become the people pleasers, and they forget about that knowingness inside them, that
Exactly.
innate knowing, and they go to their heads. They
They go right
rationalize,
into their
they reason,
heads.
and they go, "Okay, I got to do this in order to be accepted or loved," and they go right to their heads
Right.
thinking, "What do I have to do?" And they forget
Right.
about the heart self, and that's where your intuition is, that heart, that gut feeling.
Oh,
That
that gut feeling is everything.
yeah.
James, can you think of a time when you did listen to your intuition?
Well, kind of, yes, but in a weird way. It was, yes, kind of, really kind of weird. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard this story.
No, tell me.
Okay. So I was just in Los Angeles when I first moved to Los Angeles in 1982, I guess it was. I was trying to break into the TV business for sitcom writing. Before any of the mediumship stuff, I was aware of it. And I had a 1968 Impala thing or a Lincoln Continental. It was an old used car. It was a big
A
thing,
big boat.
big boat. And I think it was $600 when I bought it. And it was, I'm driving down La Brea Avenue, and I get to Fountain La Brea. It was Saturday night at 12 o'clock. I'd gone out to a dinner or something, or a club. I was like 26 years old or 25 or whatever it was. And all of a sudden the car stopped. Now the gas gauge didn't work. I didn't have a gas gauge. So I didn't realize I had no gas in the car. And I was right in the middle of La Brea Avenue, everyone. It's a big avenue.
Oh, it's huge.
One of the biggest in LA.
Yeah.
And I got out of the car and oh, I guess I ran out of gas. So I went into the believe it or not, I'm sure Spirit obviously guided us. There was a gas station on the corner. So I just stopped from the gas station. So I went to get the gasoline.
Okay.
And I got the guy gave me it. And what happened was the gas tank was the back of the car, the very back. So I was kneeling down. And it was 12:30 at night. I opened up the license plate. Behind the license plate was a gas, and I started putting in. I said, "Wait a minute, I got to get another nozzle, and I don't feel safe here. Wait a minute, let me go back to that guy a second and get a cloth. I didn't feel safe. I go back toward this guy at 12:30 at night in his gasoline station, and I was in here, bang, and I looked, and that car was up the sidewalk. Another car hit it,
Oh
and
my goodness.
obviously the person that was driving that car didn't look and see. If I was bent down putting gas in that
Oh
car, I would.
my God, you would have blown up.
But I had an intuition and an instinct that I gotta go. It's safe, and I want to get a cloth, but I don't feel safe. Let me get a cloth. I just need to go. I need to go. And it was my intuition. The
So it
soul's voice
saved
saying,
you.
It saved me. It saved
Yeah.
me. And that's an extreme case, but every
Yeah.
day we use intuition, and it's
Yeah.
it's just it's that knowingness, and it's not thinking about it, like you said, Kelly. It's a natural ability. It's a
It's a
natural
natural
sense.
ability. So I
Yeah.
had a really interesting situation too in my 20s as well. I had a boyfriend for many years. His name was Rick. And for many, many years we were together. And he said to me one day, and this is when it really became very clear. He said, you don't think. You just do. You don't
Mm.
think. And I said, and it wasn't necessarily a put down. It
No.
was I understood, and I looked at him and I said, "Yeah, that's correct." And he said, "But I think." He said, "I think everything through." And I said, "I realize that. I know that about you." And he said, I said, and I don't even know why I said this, but I said, "Do you ever want to get married and have children?" Because intuitively I wanted to get married and have children. And he said, "I have to think about it." And I said, "You have to think about it?" He said, "Yes." I said, "How long do you think it will take you to think about it?" And he said, "Well, it's a period of time. I have to think about it. And then I said, oh, Rick, it's okay. You don't have to think about it. And he said, I don't. And I said, no, 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 because I'm breaking up with you. I've thought about it. And I knew at that exact minute that this guy, if he got married, it would be in 30 years, and I could wait 30 years. But then what? Why would I wait for anybody else? So here's what happened. Here's a really interesting part of that story. 30 years goes by. He marries somebody. He's 50 years old at this point when he gets married. He has 3 young children. He came to Holiday's wedding, my daughter's wedding. My daughter had already graduated from graduate school. She was already a doctor when she was getting married. And he came to the wedding and he said, I want to tell you something. He said, I'm dying. I have about 2 months to live.
Wow.
And he said, I'm sorry I never listened early on because I'm leaving these 3 young kids. Is that an interesting story? So my intuition was so right on that if I waited around, this is a message to anybody that's waiting for somebody else.
Yeah, it never happened. Don't do it.
Just don't do it. Listen to your intuition.
Yeah. I always, we always all have that experience. But if I only listen to that small voice, that little voice within, if only I would have been in this place. And that happens to all of us. And it's a matter of, it's a matter of, listening to it and practicing and going with it. Because all of us have that, I should have done that. I knew it.
Well, there's always going to be that. There's always,
and when you meet people, they're good for you or they're bad for you,
right.
At houses or places of work.
Absolutely. And if you don't trust your gut here or your intuition, here's what's going to happen. Number one, you're going to be people pleasing. You want to be people pleasing? Are you going to feel sorry for somebody? Or what is your gut saying? Number two, you're going to have trouble setting boundaries. So you want to be able to set boundaries. It's going to really help you with your intuition. Another thing, if you don't trust your gut, here's another thing. That means you don't have a spark for life, James. You don't have that spark of life. That means you're in that magic. That means you're not in your body. What are you doing?
Where are you?
Where are you? And intuition requires you to be in the body and also be present at the same time and have joy and pay attention. It requires that. And the last thing, if you don't trust your gut, you're going to have difficulty interacting with others, period.
Right, yeah. And I'd say difficulty in life. And
difficulty in life.
And I would summation of that, the summary of that, Kellee, is you get stuck.
You're going to get stuck.
You're going to get stuck.
Oh my gosh.
You're going to get stuck and you're going to be sitting there and be a victim and that, people pleaser and you're going to be stuck. You're not going to grow. You're going to be stuck.
Absolutely.
You also learn trust when you're intuition. You learn about trusting. You learn about yourself. You start having a relationship with that inner knowing of you and you celebrate who you are. And I knew that was right. I felt that. That's what happens. And it builds. The more you do it, intuition is like a muscle that you work out.
Yes.
The more you work it out, the stronger it gets. I tell people all the time when my school, I do this and for years now, you can practice your intuition every day.
Yes.
For instance, LA, we have a great one going around looking for a parking space. Where is that? Or you get an email from someone without knowing who they are. Try to envision what the email says before you open it. If you do get mail, physical mail, try to intuit what it says, or it's a bill or an invoice and you've never had it before, try to intuit what does it feel like as far as numbers, as far as the invoice. I told you this last week, I believe, Kay Ray. Remember I mentioned Kay Ray?
Yes.
And I mentioned that book, The Psychic Is You. And I love that she talks about that the gut center, the solar plexus is our psychic center, which that's our seat of knowingness. And programs, she talks about programs coming in. We're constantly receiving and giving out, receiving and giving out. And when you walk into a space, you'll receive the energy that's in that space. Whether it's a person, you'll receive their energy, that program.
Right.
And how are you feeling with that program?
Right.
And the more keenly aware of the feelings of the program, then you can see it for what it is, and then you send it out. Then you send it out, judgment or whatever you want to call it, placing it in its proper position. So it's really, we're constantly receiving and giving out all the time. It's just signals. It's all signals.
It's constantly. Scientists believe that intuition operates on the right side of our brain.
Correct.
So I've always said I'm completely right-brained, but also through our gut is the digestive system. It has new neurons in it as well. So it's really important that your intuition, you follow the gut. The gut is telling you something. I thought this was really interesting too. Steve Jobs said, he wrote a book, and he said that intuition is a very powerful thing. It's more powerful than the intellect. In my opinion, it's had the biggest impact on my work.
Oh, I agree. Well, I agree. I agree with that. But I agree with that. But let me overthink this. But there's mental body, there's a spiritual body, so
Yeah.
it's and the emotional body, physical body, so forth. But it is that one. To me, it's the seed of that seed of knowingness. It's that they all. Anytime I think of intuition, I think it's the seed of the soul, the voice of the soul. But it's that part of you which has always been, always will be, and it guides. It guides us. It's like the universe is you know uh,
Our
Geiger count.
it's our Geiger. Yeah, it is. It is.
Like I can't
Yes.
think of no sleep, but a pitchfork, a tuning fork. It's
Yeah.
God's tuning fork. It's nature's, the universe's tuning fork. That's what I'm trying to say, and it's really so subtle. And no one should expect like, oh, now I'm getting this information. No, it's subtle and it's soft. It's gentle. It's
Yes.
gentle. And if you can surrender to that gentleness and that sensitivity, and they call intuitives sensitives, of course, because it's that sensitive, subtle energy that you're
Yes.
feeling. And if you overthink it, again, you won't pick it up. It's like very much like mediumship in a way. If you try too hard,
Yeah.
it goes above you, below you. You won't get into it. And every medium is psychic, but not every psychic is a medium. I think we should know that.
Right.
So you can be very, very intuitive, but not be a medium. But every medium has to have a strong sense of psychic ability, intuitive ability.
Mm.
Right, Kelly? Would you say?
Absolutely. You have to have that. You have to be an intuitive to be a psychic or to be a medium, but particularly to be a
What,
medium.
Kelly, what do you think about? I just thought about this. This is very interesting. People's sense of self.
Uh-huh.
That if they would more practice more their intuition, they'd have a better sense of self
Oh, yeah,
or love
because
of self.
absolutely, because it would go to what you said earlier. It's knowing thyself. If you know thyself, if you know yourself, your intuition is going to be right there. You're going to know yourself so well that you'll know what's going on. You'll be able to help yourself move through and navigate life in such a better way. You'll pick better. You'll feel better. You'll have more joy.
My grandmother grew up. She was an English, really Welsh. And when I was a little boy, I used to go to her apartment in Jackson Heights, and I used to sit with her for hours. My dad worked in the city or a show, Broadway show, and I'd sit there at night. He'd drop me off there, and then take the subway into New York City, Manhattan, and I'd sit with her. She'd tell me things, and I'll never forget two of the things she told me. She said, love Shakespeare. And she
Mhm.
said, to thy own self be true. And I'll
Oh,
never forget that. She said, that will help you in years to come. That'll help you live your life. To thy own self be true. And that in travel, you will learn the most in your life through travel and to be yourself. To thy own self be true. Never try to be what someone else wants you to be, but be who you are.
how old were you when she said that to you?
Oh, I must have been 7 or 8 years of
You
age.
grabbed onto that because, boy,
Yeah.
you have been true to yourself.
I came in that way, I think. I
I
came with
think
a sense
so.
of self, I think. I
Yeah.
think it was survival. I think I had to survive as a New York kid.
But you were not a people pleaser either.
No, no,
You
no.
weren't that.
I really was more of a joyful kid in my own way. And I mean,
Mhm.
whether with living there, here, everywhere, who knows? The circumstances weren't great, but they weren't bad either. But it was just, I always had a sense of me. I
Yeah.
could be in a tree and be very, very happy. I have a teaspoon. I'll never forget this. I had a teaspoon in my house in Queens, and I used to go out. We had a very small property, and I used to go in the front yard, which was a disaster. And I used to go by the ivy, and I used to teaspoon in the ground and dirt, and I used to be so happy. And I used to say, one day I'm going to have a big garden. It's true, but that brought me so much
Wow.
joy connecting with the earth and watch the flowers, and it still does. It still does, of course.
How
And
did that but you had that you knew something was gonna be better.
I knew there was a simple sense, and I think I was born the sense
Mhm.
of something, and that I was. I remember when I was 3 years of age. This is wild, very wild. My mother was walking me to nursery school, 3 years of age, and I remember going up the street, Corporal Kennedy Avenue, whatever it is, and this man came by and he talked to my mother. He mentioned California, and he walked by and I looked at my mother and said, I'm going to live there one day. I had no idea what California was. I had no concept of California, but I knew I was going to live there one day. And yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah.
That's
I
amazing.
also, when I was a little kid, on Saturday mornings when uh, the rest of the kids would be, so my paper shredder just turned on by itself. Just if you hear
I
that.
think it's your grandma.
Maybe I don't know what's going to stop it. Anyway, so I always had that sense on a Saturday morning. Uh, so thank you, Grandma. Okay. It's weird. So, and I used to remember when kids are like playing Saturday mornings out and they're playing out in the street. And every Saturday I'd ask to see God. Oh, I said that I knew inside me there was something, a knowingness, there was something connected. I knew this wasn't it. And I was a young kid, 4, 5 years of age, 6 years of age. And I remember one morning, I wrote about this in my first book, Talking to Heaven. I asked to see God, and a hand appeared through the ceiling. And it was just light, a luminous light. It really what it was. Yeah, even the movie, the Ted Danson movie that portrayed me, we brought
Did they
this.
put that in there?
Yeah, they put that into
Wow.
it. But it was really like, and I just had that sense of, oh yeah, that's right. It was like I remember it now. Yeah, that's right. That's all. That's all I need to remember.
Oh
And it
my
was almost like
God.
that was a reassurance and that knowingness, and it kind of, I don't say opened me up, but it was a reassurance, a validation, and
Yes.
that's one of the, yeah, that's what I
I
remember.
Wow. Okay, wait, let's read this. Paul Katz says, curious, something happened a few hours ago. It's my birthday. Happy birthday,
Happy birthday,
Paul.
Paul.
Today is a 666 day, which is interesting. I
Wow,
put that June 6th, 2022. It's a 666 day,
wow.
which actually it's a good sign. It's not a bad sign. It's a very good sign. It means to reflect. So it's a good thing. But anyway, he said, I was in my shower. Oh my God. And my shower door shattered spontaneously. I was minutes away from being in the shower. I kept delaying. If I had been, I would have been hurt more than I was, just some scratches. Is it possible unconscious intuition can help us? Something kept me out of the shower. Some say glass shattering accidentally, like is a sign of good luck. Superstitious, I know, but wondering. Oh, Paul, I think your guides got you out of that mess.
Yeah, I
That's,
think spirit.
I mean, that's a major one.
Yeah, that was like
Uh,
the car one with me, the gas. It was the same thing.
yeah.
Yeah, you were, and of course on your birthday, they'd be around even more so, and getting a message across. Well, that was a message. They're
Oh,
definitely around.
honey.
You got important things to do, Paul.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, yeah, more things to do for sure. Oh my gosh. Well, I have some tips for intuition, James. I've got some tips
Okay.
here. Should we talk about some tips?
Yay.
So,
Yes.
if you guys are interested in developing your tips, as James said, this is a muscle. This is a muscle. You want to really treat this as something that you're learning about yourself and you're developing. So, the first thing to do, and which is what we always talk about almost every day, James, is meditate. Meditation is everything because it's gonna help you to if your energy is scattered, it's gonna help bring your energy together here for you. So meditation is a really great way, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. If you can do that, it's going to help you with growing your intuition. So another thing is taking a chance at following your gut instinct. So if you have a strong instinct or something, try it. Follow that advice. See it,
Practice.
practice
Practice.
it, try it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But try it. I mean, trying something every day with your instinct is everything.
It builds that muscle.
It
Yeah.
builds the muscle, and that's the whole thing. You want to build this muscle. So I love this one, James. Start doing daily body scans.
Oh, I never heard that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's many of us are used to overriding the way we physically feel and we just, like push through from one situation to the next. But make a practice of really acknowledging the way your body feels and what it's telling you. So if you scan your body, see what you're holding. Are you holding good sensations, bad sensations?
Whoa, my
Oh
set's
my
falling
gosh. Oh boy, we've got a lot going on over there.
down. It's something shattering. Whoa,
Oh,
Paul.
oh my gosh. And just because that happened to Paul doesn't have to happen to you.
Go ahead.
Well, I did say it was a 666 day.
The meteorite shower.
The meteorite shower. It's quite a day. But anyway, do a body scan because that might actually help you with your intuition too.
But when you do the body scan, Kelly, people should just sense it. Don't try to think about it. Again,
Okay.
not the
Yeah.
brain. Go to the brain, the head to the heart. And I have learned also if you want to go to the mirror and scan, and you can still start with the chakras too and sense what this feels like here, the third eye, and then go to the throat and feel the sensitive, the subtle differences in the throat chakra, the heart chakra, and they're very, very subtle. But try to get into that sense of sensing what it feels like. So, for instance, can I just jump in, Kelly?
Yes, please.
Everyone want to do this, wrap their hands together and just hold out your palms facing each other about 6 inches apart. And you can close your eyes if you'd like. And very slowly bring the palms close to each other and then back like an accordion. But pay attention to the space in between the hands, the palms, and feel, if you will, the energy. So as close as you can to begin to feel like it's a little like energy going back and forth. It's like darts, if you will. And you can feel that and then bring it out and expand it. And you can tell how intense it is. You can just sense what energy feels like. And that's what we're talking about. That's the subtlety of intuition, that subtle feeling. So it's when you scan your body, just sense how different the energy feels when you do that. And that's really the beginning of getting into that subtle, sensitive space.
All right. Well, James, it's always so great to see
Thanks,
you.
Kellee. Love you.
You.
Love
you
you
too. Bye, everybody. I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
See you Thursday. I'm on Thursday too.
Thursday.
Check that out.
Yes, Kellee, anything.
Ask me.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now and Beyond, featuring spiritual medium and master teacher James Van Praagh and spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.
That was great. Maybe we changed some lives.
And maybe opened up some minds.
Which way do I turn?
Right. I mean left.